What's up, guys? I'm your host, Lucie, and this is Eventually It All Connects. Here with a friend of mine from church, the tall one, the tallest one at church. That everyone's always so amazed by.
Really?
But yeah, I'm here with Avogadro,
Yeah.
avocado,
Guacamole.
guacamole. But yeah, so what I normally do is I ask a question at the beginning of each podcast, and the question is: Is there a time in your life when you didn't know it then, but are now realizing that eventually it all connects to today?
Yeah. A couple of times. Yeah, well, now looking back at it, like you feel some things. Well, yes, I would say like there are a lot of things that has happened in my life, and eventually it comes to connect. And some things were bad, some things were good. Yeah, in a way, like if you look at that point in time, you were like, oh, this is not good. And then now it's like, oh, I guess I have become something of myself, which I'm like, well, I'm thankful I did pass through that situation, which was like, you would say, a bit bad.
So that bad thing that you thought was bad, and during that time you're like, wait,
this is too much.
but now you're like,
okay. Yeah, like
that
for example,
had to happen.
yeah, you would say like maybe you used to walk to school like you're going very far away.
No, the things that our parents or grandparents like, in order for me to go to school, I had to walk through the river. I had to go through.
Yeah, and then now when it happens, like maybe I need to walk to some place, I'm like, I've done this before, like, so I'm like, I've developed some sort of resilience to endurance toward that, like, so I guess it's like
strength. You got
yeah, some sort of, even my mindset's just like that's fine, like I can just walk there, like yeah. And sometimes you might see people, some other people be like, you're such a baby, like you just can't do that, like yeah. And sometimes maybe growing up, living with parents, yeah, maybe sometimes they might tell you like, okay, you need to cook or you need to do something. Then you're like, why do I have to do that? Like, why do you have to put me through that?
Yeah.
But now you're living alone, you're like, oh,
I see it now. I get it. Understood.
yeah, now it connects. Yes. So yeah, most moments, those were like the bad ones. Some other moments were good, I would say. Yeah. What, like, okay, I grew up in a Christian family. I was not so, okay. My grandma usually like had to force us to, when it comes to prayers, going to church was not so much of a big deal. Yeah, and eventually at some point we even get baptized. And up to this moment, like when I see somebody being baptized and everything, and then I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that. Like I was not so rebellious toward those things.
You're like, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, so yeah.
That's cool.
I'll say that, yeah. It's like there's like a lot of things that eventually just comes to connect.
That you understand, like today, you're like, if I wasn't like the person I am, or if I didn't go through that back then, I would have not been the person I am today.
Yeah, like who I am now, yes. I'll be like, okay, if I had not gone through that, like maybe now I would have been different. Like, okay, once upon a time, I never wanted to be like, there was a point in time, like I was a head prefect. And now, mind you, I became a head prefect. I've never been any leader of any sort at that school. So, like, it's like this nobody, then head prefect. And then it just happened, like, this teacher, he just saw me. He was like, okay, you're going to fill this form. Then I was like, okay. Then I thought, like, okay, maybe I'll just be a normal prefect. Then he was like, no, you're going to fill HP. Then I was like, HP? How do I even compete with that? Like, there are these people I know. I'm not even the best in class. Yeah, like.
And he chose you.
Yeah, you chose me. And then eventually I just got into it. Then there I am. I became a HP. Then it was like, yeah, the squad, like 1,000 plus students. Yeah, so through that I developed confidences and stuff. Like, so now even when I'm in the office, people are like, there will just be a small meeting, then like people are just talking, then somebody's so nervous. I'm like, what's up with this? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yes, so it has helped me even to stand like now even if I have to stand in front of majorities, like talk about something, I'm like,
It's a piece of cake.
yep,
It's easy
I'm
for
like,
you.
ugh, come on, you just feel.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Didn't you? You know, I mean, you're probably looking at it back now. You're like, wasn't that your sort of Moses moment? Wasn't that you're like, wait, that was my Moses moment? Because obviously you're like, why am I being the leader? And
Yeah,
you're telling
well,
me to do this, and God is like, no, you're going to do it because you're the best one that fits, and you're.
I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like everyone has their Moses moment. Some people are more recent than others, but
Yeah.
I feel like at some point in your life, God puts you in a situation where you just have your Moses moment, or like He wants you to lead or to be
Yeah.
an authority over these people, and you're just like, "Are you sure I'm fit to do this?"
Yes.
And He's
yes.
like, "I will make it. You think you're fit, but I know that you don't fit, but I know that you are, and I know what you're capable to do with these
Yeah.
people and whatnot." So
Yeah.
that's actually interesting. That's good. But yeah, so today's topic is perspective, because that's one thing I feel like a lot of people struggle to either see other people's perspective or for others to see their perspective. So
Okay.
that and mindset is kind of hard, I feel like, in today's world or this generation, for us to be like, wait, how can we all live together in this world and have different perspectives or have different mindsets, and it just doesn't make sense to the other person. But yeah, so the first question is, can two people see the same situation very differently? Why do you think that happens?
Well, yes. Can people see the same situation differently? Yes. And how it happens depends on. Well, if you just go like on the normal lives you are living, I would say the information that you have, like the information you have about that situation. Yeah, some things happens. For example, maybe like right now you might see maybe a video, like maybe on TikTok or something. Then for me, like I'm so much into tech and stuff, I might be like, oh, that's just AI.
Yeah.
And then maybe I might have somebody like my grandma. She'll be like, that's so real. Like, then see, it's
Yeah.
the same video, but then from my point of view, like based on information that I have, I know that's the AI. Like you can tell the difference. But
Yeah.
for some, they don't have that information. They don't know if there's such technology to build some stuff. So such stuff. So they'll be like, no, that's real. Yeah. So yes, it can happen.
People see a
people-
situation, they're like, wait, this is my perspective.
Yes.
And the other person's like, no, this
No,
is mine. It's
is
like,
mine.
and then, I mean, I feel like even with what you call it, going, I guess, to the Bible, whatever, like there's some stories in the Bible
Yeah.
that it's the same thing. Like, again, situation, you both see it's the same situation or the
Yeah.
same story,
Yeah.
but people see that story differently.
Yes.
And I feel like that's obviously what God intended with his Bible, with the Bible, is to have these many stories and to have people have different perspectives on it. And that's only because they're applying it to their life. And obviously everyone grows up differently and everyone has had a different life
Yeah.
and
yeah.
none is the same. So he's like, okay, I'm going to write this out and have, like, let's say 5 people read the exact same message, but each one is going to take it as their own. So it's
Definitely.
just crazy how you could just like see a story and you're like, wait, this is what I got from this.
Yeah.
And another person can read the exact same story and you're like, this is what I got from this. And then you go, like, you kind of talk to them about it or you talk to each other about it and you hear each other's perspectives and you're like, oh, I didn't see it that way.
I thought of it that way.
Yeah, and then the other person's like, wait, that makes sense why you saw it that way. Now I see it. So I think it just kind of helps when people are looking at situations differently,
Yeah.
because it helps sort of you grow and your mindset grow as well.
Yeah, and
but yeah.
I'll also just add, like, even if you were to right now like a piece of information and put it maybe somewhere online, yeah, you're just going to find that like people will just have like different look at it. Some may be maybe positive, some may take it negative, but it also just boils down to like your previous experiences, like
Oh yeah.
yeah, how they relate to that issue. Yeah, and it's kind of strange how like on the same situation, maybe you might even find like some posts online. You're like, okay, maybe you might look at it and be like, okay, that's a good thing, and then you go to comments and you find some people are like they don't really like it. Then you're like, okay, like so, yeah.
What is going on? Why are they going after this person. It's like, dude, the person did not mean it this way. They meant it in the way that they thought it was, and you're taking it a whole different way. That's your way, but it's different than other people's. But that's only for some situations. Because some posts, I'm just like, you technically shouldn't have an argument, but it's like, you know what, it's fine. No. It's okay. We'll just let you be. You know, we're all human.
Yes.
But yeah, even like with posts, it's crazy. That's why I feel like you need to be more, or at least with me, I'm like, okay, depending on what it is, because I'm like, I want to post something, and if God is like, this will help people, you should do it. Even if people come after you, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But there's some posts you just have to be careful, because it's like, you may be like, okay, I'm taking it this way, or I'm looking at this sort of situation, and putting my opinion out there, and other people could come at you and be like, oh, how are you taking this side, or how are you doing this opinion or saying this opinion, when to them they have like a whole different side, and just like, but this is just common logic. This is like, and then it's, the thing is though, like some situations, like people are like, oh, this is a fact, this can't be an opinion, whatever. But I feel like people, like, it's hard for them to understand, again, that people have different perspectives. So you could be like, oh, these are the facts, this is the truth, I don't know why you're going against this, but unless you see it, because you're seeing it from your perspective and what you've learned, so unless you see it from their perspective, it's hard to sort of be like, you're right or wrong, even though sometimes, I don't know if that makes any sense, because like sometimes it's like, yeah, they could be wrong, because it's, again, for me, at least as a Christian, I'm like, if it's not aligning with the Bible, then it's wrong. Then it's wrong. But some people have it hard to sort of figure that out, or to sort of realize that, hey, this is actually wrong, or this is actually right, or even in a point it's like, I could be wrong. Why am I saying the other person's wrong when I could myself be wrong? Be wrong? So it's like, you can't be like, oh, I'm right, I know everything. It's like, no, you also need to learn as well.
And I think there you're putting a strong point, like where you need to learn, like you should have a room to always like learn stuff. Like it's not always you're going to be right. Yes, you might I think everyone has like an experience where like at one point you believed maybe a certain thing was this, and now you have a total different view about that same situation. Yes, and I think sometimes you just have to like, if you find yourself like maybe in a situation where you're like having like different views on a thing, sometimes you can just try to give yourself some room to like, okay, try to see maybe from that person also different that point of view. Then that way it can help you to understand the real situation. Yes, and you can also go to their point of view and come back to your view and be like, I think maybe they're still just wrong. But give it a chance. Do not just be like static, okay, now this is that and that's that. Like, no.
But I think there's one thing I've actually learned, especially like my walk with Christ or being a Christian, that actually helps, not per se just for like this situation, but like any situation in life, where, so even if I'm looking like, okay, let me go spread the gospel or spread the news, like the good news, to someone that, okay, it's different for someone who has not heard at all about God, and like now you're just telling them for the first time, but it's kind of more complicated to not preach, but to like tell someone about the gospel to someone that knows about God, but they just don't believe. And they're just fighting hard with it. So I think, okay, so even with that, that's kind of helped me, especially like the Holy Spirit has helped me like through my walk of trying to disciple people and to create disciples of all nations, is to first of all have patience and give grace as well. Because again, with the whole perspective, it's like, okay, I could be like, I mean, I know this is true, and I like, that's 100%, I'm like, it's definitely true, but they may not know that. And it's like, I can't look at it from my perspective and again get angry, be like, why are they not wanting to know the truth? Why did not? To a point like, okay, let me be patient with them and tell them the good news, but understand from their perspective that, hey, they're someone that's been fighting some spiritual battle with it. And they are just finding it hard to accept, especially again, like what we've talked about. They've gone through experiences that sort of push them back from having a relationship with God. So it's like, okay, I need to understand their point of view. I need to understand why they're asking the questions, why are they thinking that way, in order to also help me sort of gain that, I don't know if it's knowledge or whatever, to, or ask the Holy Spirit to help me what to say to them that will help them in that moment, and tell them what they need to hear and what God wants them to hear through me. And then you find a lot of these things, at least with me, with one person I've like tried discipling, is that they, like, yes, they're still sort of in that, I guess the word is trying to understand or battle. But the one thing that I love, and I'm thanking God for and the Holy Spirit for, is that this person is literally told me, hey, out of all other people that I've tried to sort of, I guess in their sense, push Christianity on me, you're the one that I'm very open to talk about this with. And that's because they don't feel judged about it, and they're judged about their point of view and like what they have to say. Like, they feel the actual love that I'm trying to give them, and I'm like, I'm not trying to, is it condemn? Not trying to condemn, but what's the other word that I think is, it says in the Bible, it's like Jesus didn't come to condemn, but to, what was it?
Oh yeah, I also forgot that word.
I
Like,
forgot what he said.
yeah, is this a word?
But it's like, I'm not trying to come and like condemn you and be like, oh, you like need to do this, or if you don't do this, you're going to blah blah blah. And as much as, again, that's all true, but that's not the way to go into that with, because then the person's gonna be like, whoa, like,
people have gods and stuff. Like,
yeah, they're like, what do you mean I'm going to go to hell if I don't do these certain things? And it's like, telling them, it's like, yeah, there's a high chance you could, and I don't want you to, but it's just showing it out of love.
Yeah, like I remember there was this also one story like of I don't know, it was a guy like he lost his mom, but then now out of that, like, he got so disconnected from just from like the godly stuff. Yeah, the reason being, like, at the moment before the mother passed away, like, he prayed and he did everything. Like, that's the point where, like, someone is doing something, like, okay, on his perspective, he's doing everything right, but still he lost his mom.
Yeah, it's like, why did this still happen when
why
I'm
did this still
literally trying
happen?
to follow Christ?
Yeah, so you might find on that same situation, from you, maybe you're trying to disciple him, you are looking at that situation differently.
Oh yeah.
And then from his point of view, he's looking at it differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, as you said, like, sometimes maybe you need to hear from their point of view to understand it, so that you know how to navigate through them and put them on the right track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to just, again, like I said, just have patience with them,
Yes,
because
patience.
I think I've even said this on one of the episodes. It's like, we're not here to, like, what's the word, transform people or to save people. Yeah, we're not here to save people.
Not save people. Yeah.
We're here to. Actually, I don't know if it's. Okay, I don't know if this has anything to do with what we're talking about, but like, I just came to mind right now. It's like, we're not here to save people, but to serve people. I think I don't know where I've heard it.
I think even at church we usually
Probably at church. I'm like,
yeah,
wait.
they say served people, serve people.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
It's like served people, serve people.
Oh, that's probably because in my head I'm like, did I just make that up, or did I hear this somewhere?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it does come along the lines of that. But yeah, so we're not really here to save them and be like, oh, like salvation, whatever. Because again, that's God's job, and that's we're only limited to do what God tells us to, which again is disciple people and make disciples of all nations. Like, he never said in the Bible, oh, go and save people and whatever. No, he said go disciple, because he knows that we're limited and that only he can do the saving, so that he can be glorified in the end through everything. So it's actually, I don't know, it's just crazy, like, even with that, just hearing people's, like, different people's perspectives on, again, just one situation. And again, because we've all grown, basically, to answer the question, we've all grown up in different households, we've all grown up different lives, so we're bound to have different perspectives, and it does happen. So what are some common barriers to gaining a new or broader perspective? So like, what's sort of stopping people from growing, I guess, or gaining new perspectives?
Yeah, it's more of also saying like what makes somebody so much closed-minded. If you, yeah, it's just being closed-minded, like if you
And not,
understand,
yeah,
not
like
open.
not actually wanting to be open to hearing.
Yeah, to opening to new stuffs. Yeah, of course, it all now goes back to just upbringing and how you have been brought up, and also some things also go like even further to like okay, the way you have been brought up, and then there you develop some things and some frameworks on how you just live your life. Yeah, maybe you find okay, this works. If this works, and then that's the only way. So you don't want to even try something new. Yeah, so you have built yourself like that. You always like find one way to do things, and as long as that works, that's the only way.
But what if that doesn't work? What would
That
does that
if it
still
doesn't work, that's why it happens. Like you try to find something
something
else.
else?
But if it works for you,
Yeah, you're just like,
you're
I
gonna
don't
preach
want
that
to.
to everybody else. Like, yeah, you should just do it like that.
Yeah, because there's no other way that it works.
Yeah, that's what you believe, and then you kind of close your mind to it. You're like,
To like, hey,
yeah, that's the
this
one.
good.
So, yeah, so I would say like upbringing. Then, with upbringing, you start forming your own frameworks on how you navigate through life. Yeah, and now you find yourself you have grown up to. As ages go, you have learned a lot of things. So you start also shutting down on like you trying to learn some new things. Yeah, and that's where you find out most people they just go closed-minded then, and that's it. So being open to new perspective is really hard. Or sometimes now, if we are to go to like how they might be able to get into new perspective, maybe it's like through some they need to see some things to believe.
That's true. That is
Yeah,
true. They
they'll
need
need-
to experience life.
Yeah, they need to like okay, there's a way they believe, and then if they see maybe something different regarding that same situation, then they'll be like, oh, also that works. That's good. Yeah, some it's not only that they need to also hear maybe from people they trust.
Okay.
Yeah, like it's maybe people they trust or somebody they're comfortable with. Yes. So usually, yes, you might have people who are close-minded, but there is a certain kind of people when they meet, they can be open to try some new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, if they feel like threatened, they have built certain walls and stuff. So they're like, if you just try, they're like, no.
No, like we're not doing this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stick with what has worked for me.
Yeah, like I've seen even some TikToks. You see like somebody opening the door, and then it's like they call it Mashaidu Ayova. What do they call them in English?
I don't know what that is.
There is a thing like Mashaidu Ayova. Okay, it's just basically people who are like also preaching the gospel, but they usually go like door to door.
Ah, the Jehovah's Witness.
Yes, actually, that's the English word for it. Yeah. So they'll be like, oh, that guy. Then the guy maybe will pretend he's deaf or he's like blind. He doesn't see them. Then like, yeah. So they have like this perspective of like whatever you are. So they have like first they have the information like of who these people are, and then it's not like they bring bad news. But now they have built some sort of response to it. Like, oh, it's those guys. So, like, they just shut on it.
Yeah.
Even if maybe they'll be going through something in their life at that moment, and maybe that whatever they could have heard that day could have helped
Could
them.
help them, yeah.
But still, they have already just built, like, something around it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's you. No. Yeah.
It's like just completely
Just
just close the
go.
door. It's like
Yeah.
I already know what you want and what you're gonna do. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. So.
But I remember like sort of I guess a world sort of analogy to that is, for instance, let's say you have this weight loss thing. Someone on a tangazo or the advertising like, oh, this is good for weight loss. Like
Yeah.
you'll be fine, blah blah blah. And the person's like convinced that it works because obviously it's worked for them, and they have these whole testimonials, and they all say, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's worked, it's good, like you should try it out, blah blah blah." And so that person like has their perspective on that, and they think that's going to work for everyone.
Yeah.
And not knowing, like they're kind of in a sense closed-minded. It's because it's just like, no, I've tried it. If it works for me, it's going to work for you. I don't care if you say it doesn't work. That means there's something wrong with, like, you're doing something wrong. Like you're not following the proper thing. So even with that, it's like people understand. It's like, okay, yeah, it works for you, but it also could not work for other people. So you need to have the whole open mindset of like, hey. Like, not really be like, oh, this is going to work for you 100%, but be like, there's a high chance. It could work for you. That's actually, now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, that's how those advertisements should be. Not be like, oh my gosh, this is going to work 100%. Be like, listen, all these people have tried it. It's worked for them. It could work for you. It could not. So at least, that sounds more realistic, because then you're putting someone's hope up. And like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be able to lose weight or whatever. And then they do it and then it doesn't work for them. So it's like... Why are you putting people's hopes up when you know it's not going to work for everyone? But anyways, I just thought of that, and I'm just like the whole different perspective and like someone being like closed-minded, and it's like a barrier. That's what's a barrier from trying to hear other people's perspective, and it's just like, what? It didn't work for you? Like, that's crazy, because I know it's right and I know it works.
It's also kind of like the same when you have people have different response to like these drugs, like the pharmaceutical drugs. Yeah, you might find maybe they have headache.
Medicine, you guys, medicine.
Yeah, medicine, pharmaceutical. So like maybe they have a headache. They have like a very specific drug they go to. Even if you have like painkillers, you have Panadol, I don't know what. Then there's I don't know even Brufen. Is it what?
Ibuprofen.
Yeah. Like so, some people would just be like, no, this maybe Panadol doesn't really work with me. Yeah, but for some,
it does. Yeah.
Yes. So like you just have these different perspectives, and that's the thing. Like once you have seen something, you tend to be like, okay, so that is that, and you are like you can also like build your confidence around it, and then you try to be comfortable with it. Then you're like, why should you look for more if something is working?
That's true.
Yeah. So it's not really even if your fault like to be closed like that, but. Yeah, sometimes you just have to. Then I just remembered something. Okay, now this is way different. Just on how closed and open sometimes we tend to be. Back when I was in school, it's just about studying. For me, the way I looked at things, it's like, everybody will be like, they're going to class. After class, maybe they'll go to library to study more, and somebody will be sitting down maybe someplace also studying. They'll be writing notes, and but for me it was like, this feels like too much. Why would I go into class, study, then after that go to library, study, then I don't know, do a whole, like I have these notes, then I have to prepare another summary, I don't know for what. I'm like, this is wasting of time. Now that is me. Like I was just trying to, I don't know, I would say I was trying to just be open to like, is there something nice like I can do instead of just doing this whole thing everybody's doing? Because for me, I feel like, it works, yes, because I can see people doing good grades and stuff. But for me, I'm like, can I just do it like in a way like I don't have to like waste most of time just doing that? Yeah, and I remember I had this one friend who would like, we will study. He has like his class book. Then he has a summary book one, like so he will after writing the notes on the main book, he has another book for summaries about the main book, and then there is a summary about this summary. Then I was like,
I hope this person aced that class, because if they did all of that and end up getting just a C or D, I'd be like, dude.
Yeah. So for me, I decided to like explore and try to see like something that works with me.
So you like tried different options, like like he's doing this, let me try to do this.
Yeah, I was like, I'm just gonna find something that works for me. It is not like that doesn't work. It works. I know it works. Like I've tried it there, but I'm just like not so comfortable with it. I'm just like, but it feels like too much. Even if I'll get good grades out of it, but still I want something
That's
easy.
much easier, like,
Yeah.
shortcut to...
Yes, then I just came up with something. Okay, I guess I'll just like have pay attention in class, and then I have to like to train my mind to also believe that we have learned that something and we really remember it. Yeah, so sometimes I'll just be sitting and I try to just go in my head like, okay, that was that, that was that, what was that? Yeah, and if I miss it, that's when I'll go look at the book. Or, oh, so that was that, and then I'll just go on with my life, and it kind of like made it easy for me, but for other people, like it wouldn't make any sense. I don't even.
Only you understand it.
Yes, for me, I'm like, this is what now works for me, and in the end, I got good grades and stuff. Like
Yeah.
even some went like even way far, but if I was to tell somebody else, like, okay, so this is what I do.
And this works.
Yes, and I'll try to tell you, like, okay, from your traditional way of doing things, I think you're wasting more time because, like, you were in class, you studied that thing, and now you are like, you were not in class. Now you have to go through your notice. Then what you're doing is like you're taking those information from that book. You want them to be in your head, but what you're doing is you are taking from that book, you pass them through your head, then you write it on another summary. So for me, it feels like you're just passing information. You're not like
It's
trying
just going
to
in
make,
circles.
yeah, you're not trying to make it
In one
stay
ear,
your
out
head.
to the other.
Yes, sounds like you just try to take it from there to here. And that's what I was trying to do. Like, I'm trying to retain that information in my head instead of passing it through everywhere. I can write summaries and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, for me, it worked. For some other person to be like, that can't be. Or it's like there's
It's
this
like,
one.
that's not it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not going to
not
be
it.
able to actually pass this class if I do what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but at some point I had to like just have grace and sometimes respect the traditional way of how people are doing things. And for me, I just focused on like what worked for me because now that was best for me, and that was great. So sometimes you accept having like different perspective on things, even if you know like there is this one you think it's better, but it's better for you.
Yeah.
But then I do not close the door to the other way. Also thinking like there are even other more ways I could find still if I want to. But for now, I'll just stay with this since this one works for
Works for you. But I
Yeah.
mean, you're still open to learning other stuff. It's
Yeah.
not like you're just like, oh, this way works and I'm just going to keep it and then
me. Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. What role does empathy play in understanding different perspectives?
There's empathy. Now that's like getting into their shoes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, try to see things from, okay, for example, from just like the school example I just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I've been there, I've done that. So I understand it. So I understand the perspective you're looking at what you're doing. Yeah, there are times I'll be like, okay, that's wrong, you're just wasting more time. Like, if you could have done this way, you would save like a bunch of time, and then like you could study a lot of things like in a very short period of time. Because there are times where it happens, you're like, how am I going to finish all of these notes? Then
And
I'm
the
like,
time that you have.
and the time that you have, then I'm like, basically you can just skim it. You can look at it like you're looking at the Gazette or something. Yeah, in my head that's what I'm thinking. But then
Yeah.
I also understand like this is not what you're used to, because for me now I've now done that like a couple of times, so like I'm used to it and it's okay and it works for me. But for you that's not. So I just give it grace, like, okay, I can understand that you have not done this. It's your, maybe even if I'll tell you like it will take some time to process it, understand it, and then maybe if you now have to accept to really do it, but no. So yes, yeah, I just allow myself to like look at their perspective and be like, as long as what you're doing is going to work for you,
Go
that's
right
good.
ahead.
And as long as it's not a bad thing. If it's a bad thing,
100%.
that's now...
It's a whole different.
Yeah, now that's a whole different story. That's where you're
Yeah.
like, okay, even if I try to get on your shoes, I'm like, why do you do that? Why maybe do you steal stuff? And then maybe you think it's good. And I'm like, no, that's where now we part
It's like
ways.
I'm not trying to look from your perspective. I mean, I will try a bit to sort of understand, so I'm not like
Yeah.
completely mad. But it's
Yeah.
like it's still wrong.
But it's still wrong. So you're like, no, you should not be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are some things now I've just realized, it's like there are some things which you might be having different perspective, but still we are all trying to be, let's say, being productive. Right? Yeah, maybe let's say it's a work environment. Maybe somebody spend more time doing just one thing to just get there, and maybe you have your own shortcuts to get there, but still you're going to reach the same destination. And it's okay to have different perspective as long as you are just going to the same destination. Yeah.
That's true. That's
But
true.
then there are those things where like now it's like a whole total different story. Like maybe like somebody stealing stuff and then they say it's good now. No,
Just like
that's not.
there's no opinion there. Stealing is just bad, plain bad.
Yes,
I
just
don't know why
bad.
you have a whole different opinion.
Yeah, different perspective and stuff. Yeah, so there are places where you show grace, like it's okay. But there are places where you, that's why now you have to allow also the Holy Spirit to like guide you.
Guide you and help
Like,
you.
know, like okay, this is that's okay. Like I can just let that one go.
Yeah.
As in, still, it maybe I just don't like it, but still it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then there are those things where like, no, that's just a no. Like you don't need grace or anything. You're like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I actually, going back with the whole studying thing and whole different perspectives and whatnot, in my example, like, I think it also depends on the person's mind, because everyone's mind is different.
Yeah.
But I was only saying that in a sense where, let's say I'm in a class with someone and we're both getting the same information.
Yeah.
And we have like a test the day after tomorrow. And the person that's next to me is like, oh, you know what? I could literally come the morning of and just start studying then and I'll just ace it and it's fine and I'll be
Yeah.
okay. And then there's other people that have to be like, no, when I get back home I have to study straight away and then study for like 3-4 hours and then tomorrow study for 3 or 4 hours and then maybe like even before the test just sort of skim through it.
Yeah.
And that's, again, those are two different ways of studying. One studies quicker than the other, whatever, and the whole different perspective. But I'm actually saying that because I'm the person that I have to study for a few days for me to actually pass the test because I'm a slow learner when it comes to academics. It takes time to process in my head. Funny enough, this is off topic, but funny enough, creative wise, I can learn so fast. Like whether it's instruments or songs or whatever, anything creative, I will learn like this. But when it comes to academics, my mind for some reason processes it very slow. And it's like, we're going to take a few days to understand just this simple thing that someone could take a while. But you will not get it unless you keep doing it and whatnot. So, but I was just saying in that sort of sense where, like, we have different ways, and the person could be like, "Oh, why are you studying 2 days before? Like, this is a simple test. You know, it's if you just not scrap. What's the word? Cram this in the day of. You'll ace it. You'll be fine. You know, because then they'll have all these bunch of reasons of like you're just wasting your time just studying 2 days before, but they're not understanding that this person there's a whole this perspective in a way, like what works for me is not going to work for them because again their mind takes longer to process the information and longer to actually grasp it than mine does. But I just thought that I should say that, and that's from personal experience because it's me. I'm the one that takes time to process. I'm the girl in class that will not get it until like 3-4 days later.
Yeah, it's the same thing even in office spaces. It's also like the same thing. Like even in my career as a software developer, I might find some things like it's just easier to go around it. Like if we're maybe doing a certain solution, I'm just like we could just do that, and then a fellow developer would just be like, okay, wait, we need like, okay, can you like start from the top? Like, they have not still grasped the information. Yeah. So they also like take a bit more time. Or also some will be like, no, we just also need to add the ABCD and do stuff. Okay, for one, it could be like, okay, that's the way they have been doing their whole life. Yeah. See, and it works, and they have never seen like a problem. Yeah. And then there is you who are like, actually, I've just done it like that, and it still works. Yeah. Yes, I was saying about developers. So when it comes to solution, like also there has been like a way that I've done it, and it also works. So that's where you find like that so much difference. And then sometimes it happens like there is the older generation, there is like this Gen Zs. Okay, we are the Gen Zs, I guess. In these times. Yeah, we also have like this more efficient way of doing things. We are kind of like lazy in a way. Yeah, so you find more like the best way to do something, which is also like the one which doesn't take much more of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what you usually go for. Yeah, so you might find like when now in that space we are doing like a solution, you might always like you're always going to find like you have like different opinions around that solution. Like somebody will want it that way, and some other person will want it like the other way. And yeah, of course, and then you just sympathize. Sometimes you just respect people. It's like, oh, you are the older one. You have been here before.
You've had
So
more
that's
experience.
Yeah, or sometimes they could also like have grace on you, be like, oh, you Gen Z are studying a lot of things now. Let's do it your way. And then
I
you're
mean,
like,
I feel like
all right.
it's easier to sort of do it that way because, again, obviously, like, yes, the person knows more,
Yeah.
but it's like I know the world today more because I'm younger, because I've grown up in this world. So you can't be like, oh,
Yeah.
I've had more life experiences. These Gen Z kids, like, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. It's like, yeah, obviously, we've not had much life experience, but listen, we've had more experience in the world today than you have. So, technically, we can learn from each other. Exactly, perspectives. Because it's like, you have yours, which is great. I'm not like taking that out or cutting it out. And I have
Yeah.
mine, which is great, not
Yeah.
cutting out. But let's work together.
Yeah,
We're a
just work
team.
together.
In the sense where I will teach you what I know of today, and you teach me of what you know back then
Yeah.
and how you lived.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was this one advice that I was given from someone, and it was actually about relationships, and it was from an older person, from the generation before. So obviously, like, when they were my age, it wasn't like back then. Like, the world was different.
Yeah.
And so I remember like them telling me like, oh no, you need to like do X, Y, and Z. This will work for you because this is how it is, and you come to thank me later, blah blah blah. And then they're just saying how like their sort of story from it. And I'm like, and the thing is, I'm just like, and okay, I wasn't really like arguing or whatever, but they took it as me arguing because they're like, oh, you're talking back, you don't understand.
Yeah.
But it's like, I get it. I understand that you're trying to help me from your experiences. But I told them, I'm like, but your experiences are not mine. In a sense where the world you lived in back then is not the same world now. So you could be
Yeah.
like, oh, people back then are the same people now. It's just like, no. Like,
No.
with the way the world is evolving and the way people, like, are knowing more things or, like, so many stuff. Like, for instance, back then, mental health was not talked about. It was not... People weren't aware of it, but now people are more aware of it now. So even in that sense where it's like, oh, we know more mental health-wise and mentally-wise because it's more talked about and because it's more aware than they did, because they probably didn't even know that there was this thing called anxiety and like, oh, I'm upset and I've been upset for a whole month straight. Oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it makes more like sense to be like, okay, I get you, I understand you, I appreciate your advice, and I will try somehow to take it. But the way you're telling me or the way you're putting it is make it seem as if, oh, what happened to you is going to happen to me, when that's not the case, and that's not how it works, because we lived in two different worlds, sort of thing. But yeah, so I'm like, that's the whole, again, different perspectives. Like, oh, I see it this way, you see it that way. It's like, it's fine, but it's like, you can't blame me for seeing it my way, and I can't blame you for seeing it your way, because we both see it differently in a sense. So
yeah, and sometimes I think okay, it's just maybe to cement on that, like, and also like having more grace towards like maybe one another. It's just try to be more aware first. Like first you can start with yourself, like try to be aware about yourself and how you do really look at things, because sometimes I usually feel like, okay, I usually feel that, but I usually think that's what everybody's doing. Like, we live on this, what I usually call like default settings. You know, like when you buy a new phone, then you just put in maybe your mails and stuff, and then you just start using it. You have
Yeah.
not changed your notifications, tones or ringtones,
The wallpaper and
the
everything.
wallpapers and everything. It's just like
Yeah.
as stock as it came, and
Yeah.
that's how you're using it.
Mm.
But we don't really do that with our phones. Most of the time, we just have to tweak some stuff, right? You have to change some things.
That is actually
And
so
then-
smart. You guys, did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's actually smart. I'm like, wait, I've never thought of it that way. But anyway, sorry, continue. I'm just in awe.
Yeah, and then as a person, you also have that. Like, you have
your default
you call the
settings.
mindset and stuff.
He's preaching, saying it now. Sorry, I'm like very excited. I'm like, I got it.
Oh, you're like the bubbles come on, like.
It
boom.
does. I'm just like, wait. Sorry.
Yeah, and that the person also have that. Like, okay, when I tend to look at as sometimes you might find most people you're not that conscious enough to like realize like this one I'm just doing it on default, or like I'm really choosing to do this. Yeah, so most people I find like they're just operating from the default settings. It's just like I've been like this, and this is how I do this. It's like you don't have even like you don't have even have a thought of like why do you actually do this. You just have like that's how I do it, and some people will just be like will just go offensive and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you ask them like why, it's just like because that's just how it is. Like
Yeah.
so you have no idea. You're not conscious enough even about yourself. Like, yeah. So, as I was saying, it's just like try to be more conscious about yourself and how when you're interacting with other people, especially when it comes to perspective. Yeah, and that's where you find more grace. Like, if you really understand yourself, you can even see it coming. Like, oh, here I think we're just going to have like an issue on how we see things.
Yeah.
And then if the two of you can see, the two of you have more grace, then at least you might find somewhere like where
meet in the middle.
You meet in the middle and you're not really into an argument.
Yeah.
But if the other person can't see it that way, at least be the one who knows like, oh, so this is where
the issue lies.
Yeah,
and how can I sort of help them see
Yes.
it from this
so
way?
yeah, try to understand yourself, be more conscious, and try to get away from that narrative of working on default. Try to really understand yourself
That
and
is actually crazy.
how you navigate through stuffs.
You guys, that's actually gonna help me as well. You know, I've never thought of it. It's like, wait, everyone is actually on default settings.
Yeah.
Like they haven't changed anything. So unless you're willing to be like, okay, let me go through and again, like you said, tweak this a bit or change this a bit.
Yeah.
You're forever gonna stay in how it was.
Yeah.
You're made, in a sense.
It's either how you were made or how you found things working. One example I'll give you is the way people study. Nobody told you this is how you like. It's like that's how you found it. Like people study, they make notes and they do that.
Yeah.
And that's that. Like you never questioned anything. Like does this really work or not? No.
Yeah.
It's just like okay, that's how it is done. So
Yeah.
yeah. For me, that's I usually consider it like default.
That's crazy. I was about to ask him like, what can you help and teach people how to like see different perspectives or come? But then I'm like, you've already answered. You guys, you're in default settings. Kind of tweak yourself a bit.
Yeah.
That's how you can sort of gain more perspective and learn to understand other people's perspective and get out of your own mindset and be like, hey, there's other things that I could learn from other people. There's other things that are actually will help me grow as a person and become a better person than I am right now. So
Yeah.
you are in default settings. If you learned anything, that is one thing you should take. That you're in default settings and you should tweak yourself just a bit.
Yeah.
And not stay the same way that you were.
Yeah.
In the beginning and whatnot. That is actually, I'm gonna take that with me as well. Oh my gosh. But anyways, yeah. So we've reached obviously the point of Bible verses because even though we talk about we've talked about the Holy Spirit and God and a bit, but even as we're learning all of this, we have to look at what the Bible says, and because eventually all connects back to Christ. And yeah, so the first Bible verse that I had was Isaiah 55:8-9, And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And I think that helps a lot, at least for me, because it's like, okay, I know that my perspective is not his. He sees a whole different perspective, and his ways and his perspective is way higher and way better than mine, because again, he sees the future and he sees what lies ahead. So when he says things, it's not the same as when we say or think things. But yeah. And then the next one is Ephesians 4 verse 22 to 24.
Before you go there, like I like the way he says, like, my ways are higher than your ways. He sees your perspectives, he sees his, and he is like, but mine are higher. Yeah, so it's okay. Your ways can work with you, but
and they're not bad. But not just so you know,
yeah.
Mine is way higher because I know better than you, which it sounds kind of bad if you look at, obviously, from like a human to human perspective, but it's like, I mean, he is God, he does know better than us. He knows all things. So yeah, I mean, that's true. It's like he doesn't like say, oh my gosh, your perspective is nothing, or he doesn't be like, that's not right, but he's like, your way, like my ways are higher than yours. Like you have your ways and your thoughts and perspective, but it's my ways and my thoughts are way higher. And it's definitely not yours. Sort of thing. So yeah, because again, like, we have a limit to what we know and our thoughts and what we see, and he does not have a limit. So that's why even his are higher than ours. But yeah, so the next one is Ephesians 4 verse 22 to 24, and it says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put your old self to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put the new self created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." And I like that one because it's basically, even on this topic and like the way we are, it's like basically saying, like, you need to put your old ways, or what you are stuck to, basically, in your mindset, what you're stuck to, and like be made new with your attitude and your minds. And obviously he means more of a whole, like, look at the way he sees things and not just our ways, but it could even work in a sense where just to kind of broaden our perspective in the world, and to kind of, again, live in, I guess, harmony with other people, is that we're supposed to be open to seeing other perspectives and to growing and to putting off just this stuck mindset that we have.
And again, when you talk about putting, what does he say? Putting the
old self to be made new.
The old self. That's like putting the default setting again. Default
settings again, you guys. So we're back to that.
Yeah, kind of back to it. But yes, it's kind of like putting the default setting. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And then the next one is Colossians 3 verse 2, and it says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." And even with like hearing that or reading that, it's like, you may think that, oh my gosh, the world is it, or this is it, or I need to think about the life here, when that's great. And God says, obviously, it's like, oh, don't think about the like things over here, but it's like, the goal is heaven, the goal is eternity. Like, you're just here temporarily, and if you just think about the stuff here and not think about what's like above, obviously in the sense it's heaven, it's gonna be worthless. In a sense, it's gonna be useless, because it's like, okay, now you've just sort of, I don't know, because like, again, like I said, it's being here is temporary, but being in heaven is eternal, like for eternal and eternity. But yeah, so it's like, set your mind to more on that, things above. So it's like, even saying, okay, I want to go to heaven, what should I do to get there? What can I do now to be able to get there? And it's like, okay, I want to be Christ-like. I need to read my Bible. I need to pray. I need to ask God for wisdom or strength, and to have that relationship with him, and to believe and know that Jesus died on the cross for my sins, and the love that he has for us. And that's basically what it means to think about things above, because all of that will lead you to go to heaven, being with God in a sense. But yeah.
Yeah, and in a sense, it's also give you like a different perspective on how you have to live your life, like in general, because now you have to. It's a whole different perspective because you're trying to think of the higher,
Yeah.
instead of just like the earthly. So how you're going to navigate your life, the decisions you make,
Yeah.
and everything else now changes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's that.
that's that.
That's the end. We've come to the end of the session.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming through.
thank you. for
I
having me.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
To be able to talk about this, and I hope
Yeah.
you guys have learned a lot from him. And if you've not taken anything, take the fact that we are in default settings. And that you should tweak that a bit and not stay in that.
Yeah,
Yo, I'm literally that's something I'm gonna remember and probably even tell my kids, because I'm just like, wait, what? I never thought as like phones and being in default settings. That's actually crazy.
yeah,
But yeah, so I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your knowledge and what you know about perspectives and whatnot. So yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening. If you're listening, thank you for watching. If you're watching, also hello. And if you're new, I'm Lucie. This is my podcast. If this is the first episode that you're listening to, there's others that you should check out that I have up there on different topics. And if there's one that you're interested in, or like you can feel like you can relate to and you need to listen to it, please go ahead and listen to it and see what those guests have to say on that topic. And hopefully, again, you learn from those as well. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye!